A few videos ago, after the stump jump, I built a dirt berm immediately followed by a double. It rode well and was fun to ride. But directly after this new double was a big rock, just sitting there. It was practically begging to be turned into a feature. But exactly what that feature would be wasn't so obvious. But this problem of ideas would be perfect for the hive mind to solve. So I asked you guys, what should I do with this seemingly immovable object? Many of you wanted to see some kind of wooden feature built on or over it, and while I appreciate your enthusiasm for wooden features, the idea didn't really fit with the flow of the trail. But then Bill popped in with a great suggestion. Why not just move the rock and turn it into a jump? After all, the Egyptians had been moving much larger slabs more than 4,500 years ago. Bill was onto something. With one side of the rock almost completely flat, it would be perfect for a jump. The only problem is, I don't have an army of workers like the Egyptians did. I do, however, have an Amazon account. So, with the required tools ordered, I got to work. With the rain coming down and the goal of winching the rock into position, the first thing I needed to do was dig out the surrounding area. I would also need to prepare a stump which would act as my anchor point. By using my chainsaw to cut slots into it, my sling would have a secure, solid location to pull from. At the other end, I would wrap a second sling around the rock. But the key to this whole operation is what's called a come-along, essentially a winch with a big handle on it. Using its mechanical advantage, I would be able to use this human-powered device to pull the rock into position. As I started to put more and more force into the system, I started to worry. I felt like the rock should be moving by now, but it wasn't. Stories of snapped lines killing people swirled through my head. But then, like a gift from above, two strangers came walking up the hill with the exact expertise I needed.
That looks like a lot of work.
Yeah. Do you know much about come-alongs?
Mike probably knows more than me.
Do you?
I've used them quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm just, I put tension on it. Every time I add more, I'm like getting real nervous. Mike works for the Coast Guard, and he knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to slings and come-alongs. After digging out more of the ground, and with a small change to my setup to make it safer, we started to put some tension back in the system. And the rock started to move.
There we go.
By alternating between digging and winching, we were able to slowly move the rock into a better position. As Mike and Adam headed out, I started working with the bottle jack from our camper van to lift the rock to the correct angle. It's much more effective than the come-along, but it's sketchy work and you really need to be careful. Well, the rock is moving. This is so sketchy. Like if I get a foot or a hand stuck, I'm probably gonna lose the hand. So I gotta be really careful here, and I gotta make sure it doesn't tip, you know? So I gotta make sure there's enough rocks on the correct side of the axis so it just doesn't roll over onto me. I have to say it is a lot harder than I expected, and I think maybe my equipment is not optimal, but you know, make do with what you have. So in spite of the dangers, I carefully worked until sunset. Well, it's another day working on the rock, and I've got a bit more work to do. So as you can see, we've got it pretty far off the ground now, but I want to tip it a little more. I think we need a little more angle, and I want to move the bottom part of the rock maybe about a foot to the right. So what I'll do is to fill in the dirt on this side, raise it up a little, then I'll put my sling through on the bottom side and use the come along to pull it through. But almost immediately after, the weather took a turn for the worse. I keep getting these hail showers, but they're kind of actually better than rain though, since it just kind of bounces off of you and doesn't make you wet. But it's a little uncomfortable when it flies in your face. Undaunted, I got to work with the bottle jack, though that took a turn as well. Oh no. It moved. Crap. Oh, I jacked it up too high and it slid to the left. Oh, I made a mistake. Okay, we can fix this. Eventually, I managed to jack it up enough to get a sling under the bottom half. From there, I could slowly winch it into position. After a bunch of winching, digging, and jacking, well, I've got the bottom of the rock about where I want it. I think the tip has to go a little bit more to the left. But yeah, we're making progress. But now we can go back to raising it up and getting that angle we want. By using the jack to raise the rock and placing smaller stones under it, I was slowly able to get the angle close to what I wanted. Well, I think I finally got the rock in the right position. It only took all day. It's virtually level when you're riding up onto it, and then the lip itself has about a 25-degree incline. The following day, there was more work to be done. Welcome to the third day of the rock build. So today we need to build the run-in to the jump, which needs to be nice and smooth and transition properly into the new rock lip. So as you can see right now, if we were just to fill in this hole, it would not be a nice transition. It would just be like a hard edge into the lip. So what I want to do is dig that down and make it nice and round. But I think we might have a few hurdles in the way. For one, we have the stump on the left, and then there's also like a stick, or I'm not sure if that's an old stump or tree, on the right. So we need to start working on that. After spending some time digging around those stumps, I realized there was an easier way. So we've got this little stump here, and I could dig it out, or I could just pull it out with the come along. So I'll attach the stump to that big one over there, and yeah, hopefully it'll rip out. From there, I could polish up the run-in to the new lip. Well, the run-in's complete. I have to say, it looks pretty sweet actually. So this is the double after the stump jump. And then this is the new bit I dug out right here. A little bit of a left turn. And then there's the lip. And I'll build the lining later. I just want to sand it first to get an idea of where I should build the lining. Later that day, Yuka and I returned to test out the new rock lip I had just erected. Yeah, I think I'm first just gonna land really short, and then I'll just go a little further. By placing a few flags in the landing and setting my camera to record, I would be able to see where I landed. Coming! After a few attempts, I now had the information I needed to build the landing. Good morning. It's freaking cold out, but we gotta build a landing. It'll be a little tricky though, because I've got to dig through the frost layer. So I had a look at my test ride video from yesterday, and I landed about at the third flag, maybe a little before. And with that, all I needed to do was to get to work. The next day, I wanted to build a berm after the landing, but conditions had worsened. Well, Today's even colder than yesterday. It's about -7 outside right now. And the ground's really frozen. But we'll see if we can get some work done. The ground may have frozen, but it was only about 2 inches deep. The top layer was coming off in chunks, with the soil below easy to work with. It's funny, when you dig out these berms, they look like nothing for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, a berm. This kind of trail build realization is super satisfying. You can look at your creation and say, I made that. Well, the berm's done. It's not actually packing that well because it's so cold that any moisture is just freezing as soon as I dig it up. But I think over time, like once it warms up, it'll pack in and whenever I add it out and stuff. So I hope it's not too bad. The next day, well, it's even colder today and even windier. But I'm back on the trail, working on it because I gotta get it done. And I've got to ride it later too, I think. But I don't know if I can ride it if it's super windy. But I'll just get to work. We'll see what happens later in the day. Oh boy. The day would be about connecting the landing to the berm. And progress was extremely slow. With the frost layer now 3 inches thick, it was a fight to pop off each piece. Eventually the line was complete with everything connected. It was finally time to see how it all worked on the bike. Suited up for the frigid temperatures, I started from the top of the trail, which had a bit of a surprise waiting for me. Oh my god! I did not expect that. It's a lot of ice. Oh, I'm glad I didn't die on that. The trail was generally ice-free, but frozen solid. The temperature had basically turned the trail into concrete, and as such, was running really fast. In fact, my speed after the stump jump surprised me on my first attempt. Running really fast right now. Holy crap. I actually had to scrub that double after the stump jump. But I got used to it and had some fun. Whew. The dirt was so frozen that I was actually kicking up dust, something usually reserved for the summer months here in BC. After 2 days of moving the rock 4 feet from its original position, I now have a new respect for those trail builders down in Moab and Sedona. Up here in BC, I could have built this feature in a number of different ways, but down in the desert, the only option is often to just move rock. It's backbreaking, dangerous work. So hats off to those desert trail rats for getting it done.
Oh my god!
And now that we have another feature on the trail completed, I need your help again. You guys have been amazing with the names, so I'd love to hear your ideas down below, and I'll announce the name in the next video. And speaking of names, in my last video, I built a bridge over a big cedar log. It has the option of either rolling over it, or for the more daring among us, the option to send it. But what to name it was a big question mark for me. So with the problem posed to you all, the creative suggestions started to pour in. Making the decision became even more difficult. So I crowdsourced the problem again and asked my patrons for their favorites. I gave them 9 of my favorite submissions and asked them to vote. The one that came out on top? Can't Cedar Landing by Luke Merriman. And I'm in total agreement. It's the perfect name. One of the big reasons I had issues sending it is because the landing is hiding behind the big log. You can't see it until you're near the edge. So from now on, we'll call it the Can't Cedar Landing Drop. But, as always, thanks for watching and stay gnarly.